this is your fault. You clicked on this. I mean, or you let it autoplay. You knew what you were getting into. You're the one who wanted to see a hot rat. You are enabling this behavior. For shame. We're in this together. Yeah, it's a hot rat. Look, I don't know what else to tell you. That's it. That's the whole concept. That's the whole video. I suppose I can't leave the intro just at that. Okay, so over the holidays, I saw so many videos on my social media of rats and mice from all the Nutcracker productions going on all over the world. They were all dancing, crawling around the floor, honestly just looking like they're having the best time ever, and I want in. And now that you've seen professional dancers, arguably some of the best in the world if they're in a ballet company, dressed by professional costume makers, arguably again some of the best in the world, don't you want to see me, an amateur who is also tone deaf and rhythmless, do the same thing? Anyway, here is my design. It's a hot rat. That's kind of all there is to it. But I can hear you asking, what makes a rat hot? Confidence. It's not about looks. It's not about perpetual youth. She has decided she is hot, and therefore she is hot. No one else gets to decide that for her. She is in her 30s. She knows who she is. We're still talking about the rat. I actually recently went to a fashion show by Melbourne Fashion Festival, and it was aimed at women over 50, and so all of the models were at least 50. And let me tell you, every single one of them was hot. Some of them had the most amazing grey hair. I can't wait for mine to come in. Anyway, what were we talking about? My design? Yes. Okay. So I'm getting very distracted already. So I want to start with the bodysuit because I feel like that is going to be the most time-consuming part of it. And what's that? Once again, I can hear you asking, why would that be the most time-consuming part? Now, say it with me. It's because I won't let myself do anything the easy way. I'm making the fur myself. So I started out with some testing. I threw them on the floor earlier. Hang on. All right, I'm back. First one, we had to scrap basically immediately because some of the fabrics I'm using are like a boiled wool. They are far too thick to do this technique. I was trying to do the one from my underwear art video, and I thought that could be really good rat fur, but it's just not gonna work with the fabrics that we have for this. So I'm making my own fur because I don't love polyester. Faux fur is the devil to work with. I also don't want to spend any money on it, and I don't have any faux fur, but I do have a ton of fabric scraps. This was the second one I tried, and while I actually really liked how this one looked, it was so fiddly to do. It's very annoying, and it relies on me having just really long strips of fabric, and I have a lot of tiny scraps as well. Yeah, too frustrating. So that one was out. We took our learnings from that one and we made this one. Oh, excuse me. We made this one. I don't know what's in focus. So this one has the loops. I ended up doing a technique where I fold the fabric up and down so we get a lot more like, I was gonna say girth. I don't mean girth. Volume? Yes, we get more volume on it, but also able to use a lot of little scraps. We get a lot of texture, and I just think this is more fun than just using faux fur. So I already spent 2 days chopping all of those up. It's the prepping the scraps montage, yay! Honestly, this was the case of the world has got me down and I don't have the energy to be entertaining on camera yet, but I literally needed to start the project. So I just cut all this into strips and it actually took so long that it was a real boon that I started with this, otherwise I would have wasted all my good energy days. So let's have a look at my piles. No, that sounds terrible. Piles is a word for something else. Let's have a look at the scraps. Haha, here are my fabric scraps. So these are all left over from previous projects. That's my 5,000 subscribers. This is from my underwear art video. This is from my autumn witch. This is from speedrunning personal style. Those are my leggings. So that's also from the underwear video. I actually don't remember what this tulle is from, but that one is from our autumn witch as well. Just up there. That's some linen. I don't remember what that's from. This is from Speedrunning My Personal Style, and also rats. These are both from my rat slippers. And this is from the cloak that I made for my brother, and that was a side quest in a video that I don't remember which one it was. And these are from my knitting project. And this right here is some synthetic fabric that I had originally thought that I might make myself some exercise leggings with, and I never got around to it, mostly because I don't own a cover stitch machine. But I figure that this will be our base fabric. So that's gonna be a rat costume, that's pretty cool. All right, so I think the first stage is gonna be patterning up a bodysuit for this, but before we go on to that, this video is sponsored by, don't click away, it's you. This video is sponsored by you. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't really take on many sponsors for this channel. I've actually only ever had one sponsor. That is because I reject pretty much every sponsorship offer that I get. I won't take a sponsorship unless I would genuinely recommend that product to someone. And so that means that currently this channel is funded only by AdSense, and for the last 3 videos, YouTube hasn't really been showing my videos to anyone except for my subscribers, and I'm having a lot of trouble growing the channel. So if you wanted to help me out, if you could share this video, that would mean so much. I think sharing is the best way to do it. Look, I don't even know if hyping helps at this stage. Last time I looked at the hype list, it was just like AI rockabilly videos. If you could comment and just put what your favorite food is right now, I would honestly love to hear about that. All my best memories are linked to food. Currently, I'm obsessed with Langzhou style hand-pulled noodles. So yeah, anyway, thank you for being here, and let's get to it. Okay, so I think this should help us. I hate sewing stretch fabric. So this is a pattern block for a women's stretch jumpsuit. I've never used it before, but I was pretty sure it would be too long in the torso, so I split it at the waist. I also did some utter patterning nonsense because I hadn't figured out how I would construct this yet. So the fur is machined onto the grey fabric, but my design required a bunch of padding around my middle, and there are a lot of considerations about timing of sewing seams versus attaching fabric and attaching padding. I initially wanted to cut out the pattern as is, but like I ended up adding all this extra space all over because I thought I would add the padding after the fur. In summary, it's a whole mess, and you can basically ignore what I'm doing here because the shapes are super weird and stupid. Okay, these are our pieces, and yes, I have done some truly awful things to the shapes. This is our front top, and these are our front shorts. That is hopefully gonna be a belly pooch. I need these to be tight here around the thigh, but then this will be our side seam, which hopefully gives some more room. This is hopefully gonna be a bum? I don't know. I think I've done something really wrong here. I fully expect to need to make some changes, to add some bits of fabric, to take some away, but let's see how stupid it looks. What is the trick to sewing stretch fabric? Can someone please explain? I used a zigzag stitch and a stretch needle, but the fabric just constantly wanted to drag out of the machine. It was impossible to sew without the walking foot. Oh yeah, and the fit was absolutely horrendous, as expected. The extra fabric I included wasn't enough for the shape I wanted, so I just fit the thing to me, and the padding will have to go on top. Better! Look at that. Okay, so I did have to bring this in a ton. I figured I would start with something fitted. We've now turned this into a drop shoulder, so I'm really glad I added the extra space here so I could remove it. So that way I just have to do a little rectangle for our sleeves, and I need to add in a zipper, and then the next step will be adding some padding around our belly, hips, and buns, and then we'll have to cover those with patches of the fur. And I guess I'll hand stitch those on. Let's get to it. Oh my gosh, did I mention that I added darts? I'm so uncomfortable with stretch fabrics. And I'm literally going to make this padded. I don't know why, I need things to fit a certain way. I hate sewing this fabric. I have not shown my reactions to it, but oh boy, does it not want to be sewn. All right, I've got, and I'm probably gonna regret this, but it's gonna get caught in it a lot, but this is the only zipper I have that's long enough, so we're putting an invisible zipper in. And I'm not gonna show you because it's boring. Ha! There we have it. It's done. Let's not look too closely. Next is I need to add some sleeves. I have done our sleeves. Here they are, and I've done a little channel for the elastic to go in so that it will actually, you know, fit around my elbow area. But, are you proud of me? I remembered to not attach them just yet because once I close them, they're gonna be quite annoying to attach the fur to, I think. Yeah, I think it's gonna get real awkward around this area to be attaching fur. So I'm gonna put the fur on it separate and then attach it. Let's go do padding. This section might be blurry because the camera keeps insisting that this is primary person and I'm maybe a person. So awesome. I have some wool batting scraps. I also have like brand new wool batting, but I think that to do this properly, something I only just thought of is I'm gonna need to do the padding for this in like sections because I really need this to retain its stretch. Otherwise, I won't be able to get in and out of it. Okay, so to solve the stretch issue, what I'm doing is making sure that this is really like gathered in so that when we get some stretch, when I go to put it on, it just sort of flattens out and then snaps back to shape. I also kind of went probably a little overboard even with the small amount of stitches that I've done for this, because I am going to be putting another layer of fabric on top of it and stitching that down, somehow retaining the stretch for that as well. We're just gonna do our best to get some nice squish. Let's get our rat looking a lot more like a rat, which is, example picture here, adorable. So this way of doing things is fine, but I think next time I make a padded costume, I might try to just sew a sort of sack that will be attached to the suit and then stuff that. Ideally with some of these weighted pellets that I only found when I finished this project, so that there's a bit more jiggle like some of the rats that I had videos of. Okay, I need you to know that it's okay if you can't see the vision, but can you see the vision? But with a tail, like you have to picture the tail is attached, right? Look at just how soft and squishy this rat is gonna be. Little belly? All right, now this is probably gonna be harder than I anticipated, but it's time to add some fur. It's very comfortable. Like I feel like I'm getting a hug. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm feeling very happy about this. I did realize I'd almost finished sewing all of this padding on, and then I was like, oh, actually, it's gonna be really annoying to sew the fur onto this section with this big bulky thing attached to it. What I'm gonna do is basically just make patches like my little sample here and then attach them on by hand. Maybe let's start with some rump area. Yeah, we'll cover up some of this and we have to make a little space for the tail. I thought I'd put little tail nubbins on so I know where I want it. Also, can I just say, I've never felt so organized in my life. Look at these piles, all color coordinated, and then my other materials. Are you not impressed? I'm impressed. Look at me recycling fabrics. I feel like a real art person. Let's get to it. In this video, I'm going to express over and over again that this is taking ages. This build took 3-4 weeks, but also, of course it did. It's my first time with so many of these processes, materials, and tools, and I'm really proud of the level of quality that I achieved with this project. If you've been around here a bit, you might know that I want to enter the World of Wearable Art competition. I didn't manage to enter this year, timing just wouldn't allow, but I'm considering this a practice run for making a costume to a level that I could enter into a competition where the garment is worn on a stage many times. So it needs to be solidly built and not super ugly inside like they usually are. I think I got partway there on both accounts. There's a lot of zigzag stitches on the inside and maybe some of my hand stitching could have been tighter. Oh, and the invisible zip was a mistake I won't make again. But overall, I'm really happy with the quality of the finished costume. Am I allowed to say that this early in the video? It feels weird. It is looking even better than I thought it would. Got a cute little like rabbit tail at the moment. We'll change that, don't you worry. You may notice that we have a little bit of a belly space here. And just because I think it looks cute and it will add a little bit of interest, we're gonna make the belly lighter than the rest of the rat. And so my plan for doing that is just to avoid the darker fabrics that are in here and stick with our lighter colored ones. And we're also introducing a blush tone tulle that I cannot remember why I own. And then we have the very fun activity of attempting to add the fabric to the rest of this while it's one big thing. Haha. Plonk. I'm humming. Yes, yes. Belly colors. Sewing this is, you guessed it, pretty slow going as I try to pull out all the pins as I go, and for some reason it turns out I take out a pin but then continue to hold it until I take out another pin. Weird. Still retaining stretch, it's going really well. I'm gonna sew this on. Also, my shoulder hurts so much from all the sewing. I'm really out of practice. Wait, what time is it? It's actually 9:30. I think I'm just gonna go get ready for bed. We'll sew this on tomorrow. I didn't need to do this update. Look at it! Now I am just going to, I guess, speed run getting fur on the rest of this bodysuit so that we can move on to the tail. This should be annoying. Kind of just like stands up of its own accord like it's a basket. There it is. Cool. There's some fabric around the legs that needs to be covered, so let's try to start with that. All right, it's doable, but very annoying. I want to do a big energetic, let's go. But Okay, so we're ending up with some little like blank spots. I don't know if you can tell, this is the bum. This is underneath the bum. I am a little bit worried about what it's gonna be like to try and dance with this much fur between my legs. But anyway, I have some little like gaps that are appearing, but it's just like it's too hard to get this under the machine. I'm just gonna fill these bits in by hand. Good morning. It is finally cold enough to wear the sweater I just knit. I'm so excited. This is my first day wearing it since I made it. If you didn't see my previous video, I don't know where it is, but I knit this sweater and I had a great time. I'm very excited to knit more. Maybe a cardigan next. Oh, no, a hat. I want a pointy hat like a little elf. Anyway, so yeah, this section here, as difficult as I predicted. Getting this around the machine and the stretch, it's so frustrating. So I've moved to the top section here. I'm going around like the shoulders, doing as much as I can on the body here. And then I'm just gonna do this middle section with the patches like I did for the belly. It's just too frustrating. It's been very slow going since we finished the belly, and that's quite annoying. I'm gonna keep stitching these until they can't anymore, and I'm gonna watch the new America's Next Top Model video by Illiteracy. So excited for this one. I was trying to show you that it had started raining, but I have the least aesthetic background and like, how did that happen? Okay, so that part of our fence must have fallen down today. Yay. But yeah, a crow was coming to visit and then it left. Once I finished attaching the fur to the body, and look, I'm so happy about it. Next up is finally doing those sleeves. Trying to do a cool transition for this one, so please enjoy my attempts to get out of the frame. Ta-da! Did it work? Oh wait, and I was gonna do another one. Let's try the other transition. Sleeves! Well, that's not very impressive, but there they are. So the bodysuit is pretty much finished except for the tail. It looks so cute like a little rabbit right now, but it needs to be a rat tail. I have this fabric here that I once picked up from an op shop. Yeah, I didn't pay $50 for it. I paid like $5, I think. But yeah, let's make our tail out of that. Oh yes, one more thing. This is what I get for using old zippers I found at the op shop. The little puller just snapped. So I'm gonna need to figure out a solution to this because I really don't want this just impacting my neck while I am wearing this. All right, do you like my very scientific way of measuring this? We have our measuring tape. And I feel like that's probably a good length because like rats' tails are quite a bit longer than their body, I think, or like they're quite long in comparison to their body. So even though I nearly drew it this way when I did my design up there, rats' tails aren't segmented. I think of them as being segmented kind of like how a worm looks, but that's not what they look like. They look like this. And so what do we think about this idea? I've got this like blush tulle that I used for the belly, and I feel like it kind of like softens it and gives it an interesting sort of like glowy texture that looks a bit more like skin. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing the it's gonna make my life harder and not have that much of an impact on the final result, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So let's cut out a basic tail shape. It's just a long triangle, I think. Okay, so I did just cut out a long thin triangle in both the fabrics, but I don't think that is ideal for a couple of reasons. Reason the first, the tulle layer needed to be bigger than the wool layer so it didn't restrict the fabric and cause folds. I am dumb. Second reason, also me being dumb. The long thin triangle is really hard to turn out the right way. I forgot to trim the seams down, and by the time I realized I was way too far down this path, so I stubbornly kept going. I had remembered to add string to the end of the tail to help turn it out, but it couldn't work a miracle. In the end, the tail isn't perfect. There are some hollow parts where I couldn't get stuffing in, and also the tip is super hard, but I'm really happy with the weight and flop of it, and the tulle layer creates shadows and folds that make it look more realistic. So the body is finished. Yay! Yay! Very excited about that. I'm currently looking at the tail. My decision to put the tulle around the end of the tail I think it's gonna look super stupid. So moving on to the head. Last year, I went to New Zealand and I got to go to the costume shop for the Royal New Zealand Ballet. Victoria Gridley is the milliner there and they were working on their run of the Nutcracker. So I got to see some of her pieces up close and honestly, I think that her rat head is the best one of the ones that I have seen. I reached out to her to ask for some advice and she very kindly sent me some of her behind the scenes photos, like her process photos of how she made it. So we have an idea, we have something to go on. This is engineering felt. So this is what she used. Well, this is a version of what she used. And it's just kind of like a little bit stiffer and has a bit more structure than you would get from a regular felt. It's like 3.2 millimeters thick. I had to buy it from a specialty store that does gaskets, whatever they are.
I hope this clears it up for anyone else who didn't know.
And basically my plan is to just follow her process entirely. She formed the rat head, like a model of it out of clay, and then built her pattern off of that. So that's what I'm gonna do, because honestly, I had no idea how I was gonna make a 3-dimensional rat head pattern. Like, we saw how I went making just little like basic cartoonish rats. It's so pointy. So I'm feeling good about this plan. I've got some paper clay, because it's that or foam clay, and do I have air dry clay? The tiniest amount, not enough.
I didn't want to open a second packet of clay, so I made a foil base. The plan with this was to make a miniature of the mask, and once we have our pattern pieces, I photocopy them up to 300% bigger to make them human size. But that means I had to do measurements and maths instead of just going by vibes. Ew. By the way, the 300% thing isn't my idea, that's also Victoria. Oh yes, I got these giant snow globes for the eyes. They're too big. Also, in the end, for a lot of this, I think I did just go with vibes.
Oh, wow. So I totally just couldn't picture what 11 centimeters was. That is about 16. God, clay is such a specific smell, isn't it? Straight back to art class at school. I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way. I haven't even looked at my reference images. Oh, it looks so good. I don't know. All right, no, we can figure this out. Oh, it's because I've just stuck them on the outside of the skull. That's what the problem is. It has to be a divot. Help me, Pinterest.
And help me, Pinterest did. I realized that I had the eyes too far back in the skull, so I adjusted it on one side.
That looks more like a possum, maybe. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is I do want it to have teeth, so I might just do little buck teeth coming out the front and leave it at that.
Now that I was happy with the shape, I gently glad wrapped it, taped it, and realized I had no idea where to put these pattern lines. It's all curves. I don't know, it's very haphazard. Then I started marking them with a system known only to the exact version of me that was doing it in this video. I've previously used numbers, but those aren't helpful, so this was some sort of word association system. Thank God I took photos of it before I cut it up is all I'm saying.
Okay, so it's possible that this is the most complicated pattern that I've ever made. It turned out that the ears, I think, are just flat pieces. I put all these lines in it thinking I would need to cut them up, and I didn't. We have a few extra darts in here that I hadn't anticipated, and I forgot to put the little section for the cinema for the eye slit, so womp. We can just figure that part out later. I'm trying really hard not to panic right now because how am I gonna put this together?
As you can see, I transferred the tape pieces to paper and gave them seam allowances. Why? Don't worry, I'll realize my error in 3, 2,
why did I put seam allowances on this? Like, that's the whole point of having this 3mm thick felt, and I added seam allowances for some reason. Ugh.
So I went back in and removed the seam allowances.
Also, I forgot a neck hole, so there's no way to put this on. The other thing is, I read my notes wrong and I just completely confused myself. So I had in my head that this eye section needed to be 6 centimeters to accommodate for the eyeball when it was finished, so I made it 2 centimeters. And the actual eye that I have is 11 centimeters. 2 options to fix that. One is I just try and make the eyelid fit this once it's scaled up. I thought about getting those clear Christmas baubles where it's the 2 clear sections you can put together, and I'm like, well, both of those could make eyes, except it's Easter time. And so there aren't Christmas baubles, but there are fillable eggs. And these are, oh, that was a string bag, oops. Eye-shaped. So I felt very clever for this. I stuck all of my pieces down onto a bit of A4. I was just gonna bring them loose and stick them on the scanner. Sorry, editing me here. Loose? Stick them, I have literally no idea what that word is.
Not a clue.
Oh my god, that would have been awful.
I figured it out. Bring them loose. I was saying I was gonna bring them loose. I don't know why a B sound snuck in there.
How much does this not look like it's 300% bigger? This came out of the printer and I was like, that's too big. That's way too big. But I had done a little reference line on them and that had to go from 1 centimeter on here to 3 centimeters on here, and that's what it is. How is that 3 times bigger? It just, my head can't.
I also struggled for ages with the idea that an A3 piece of paper is double an A4, which is double the A5 that I use, but is less than 3 times bigger. I'm not going to tell you how long I was at the photocopy place figuring this out, and I am definitely not going to tell you that I initially threw out the first piece I photocopied because I thought it was too big, and then I had to fish it out of the bin.
All right, we have all our gigantic pieces. They look huge, but I had a thought. The way that I've sewn it here, I would like it to fold in a bit more at the top. Do you know what I mean? Like more like that. And so we need to manage that while we're doing it. We're just gonna tweak things as we go. We're gonna start sewing it, fit it to my head, and oh my God, we have to do the cap as well. All right, don't forget, we need a way to attach it to my head. So we're gonna do a little cap, we'll get to it. But yeah, for now, I'm gonna attempt to just construct this, see what we're working with, and see where we need to make changes. I'm already quite certain that the back of it here is gonna need to be brought in because that's gonna be really, really wide across the back of my head.
So I very confidently jumped right into construction. Right in.
I only cut out 1 layer.
That's only half a rat mask.
Okay, let's try that again. That's what the seams are meant to look like. Not like this.
I really had no idea how to bring this together, so I just started with joining the center seams, working on anything kind of flat before we started with the more complex rounded shapes. A huge thank you to Victoria Gridley for this technique. I'm not sure that I would have figured out to join the pieces with a zigzag stitch if she hadn't mentioned it, and just in general, this rat head would have looked really different, i.e. worse, without her help. As it began to take shape, I started tweaking bits here and there that were too angular or sitting weird. I also had to start hand sewing some sections where it wouldn't fit the machine, or I needed to retain more of a curve than flat sewing the seam would allow. And holy crap, look how good the ears look. I flat stitched them inside out, and when I fold them out, they just look like that. It's amazing. I don't know if I could do that again if I tried.
I have absolutely shocking news for you. I'm not as good at this as a professional milliner. I know, it's really surprising that on my first go, I didn't get this perfect. I already had to narrow the face a little bit at the front. When I looked at this one, I was like, oh yeah, that's like perfect, but I wasn't really picturing it being double. It's bigger than a basketball back here. I did manage to curve the ears in a little bit, so I like how that looks, but it's left me with this huge amount of excess fabric at the back here, so that needs to be rectified. So the eyelid piece, it's here, it's just too small, so that one needs to be recut for both of those. Yeah, we're definitely gonna go with the half egg, so we can just do a little bit of adjustment to make it fit there, because I can't handle making this pattern different now for a much bigger eyeball. It's just not, this is already doing my head in. Look how big it is. I think I really overshot the mark.
I hand sewed the backs of the ears as far as I could, then removed the excess fabric along the seam line to help keep the shape somewhat. I also took out a strip along the length of the head to narrow it. I reshaped the upper and lower lid pattern pieces because something went really wrong with those. They were very weird. Then I trimmed the eye holes to better fit the egg halves. Honestly, this was a really happy accident because I think these eyes look way better than the Christmas baubles would have had I been able to get my hands on them. See, look how happy I am with them. I was also thrilled to remember that I own a micromotor, which means I actually have a way to attach the eyes. I got to work drilling little holes into the edges of the eggs so that I could sew through them. Unfortunately, the friction heat mostly meant I was melting holes into them, so I used a piece of scrap wood to remelt the hardened plastic off. Yay, fumes! After that, I did some testing for how I could paint the eyes so that I retain a little peripheral vision.
Okay, so I can't decide what color to do the eyes because the red looks really cool if this was going to be a white mouse, but it's not. The black is probably just going to fade into it being gray, and I still don't yet know if I'm going to need those for visibility. So let's just move on to the cap. Now you know how this is going to go. Ah! Oh, it's on my nose. The cap has to like work with my hair in a bun. Oh no, my hair is sticking out. I know I could just use a hat, but I don't want to. What are we doing about my bun? What's happening here? Maybe I just have a hole there for my hair to go through like you would have in a cap. Ah, oh, that got my hair. I'm gonna go check this and tidy it up in the mirror, and then we'll make a pattern out of it.
I absolutely took some hairs out with that. So that seems fine, if a little silly. So this is all normal and good. Very nice, it's a pattern. Except that I forgot what kind of transition I was doing. Done. For some reason, this makes me even more genuinely happy than this does. I don't know why, but it just looks so silly. It's like, here's a little swim cap. You ready? Are you ready? I did it. Like initially, I was gonna put a bike helmet on my head. That was my plan, was to buy a bike helmet and build the rat around it. And then I realized it'd be really hard to attach the rat to the bike helmet. This is an elegant solution. Check it out. Got a little spot for my hair to sit. Hell yeah. Now it's just a hat. What do you think? It's hurting my head quite a bit to look out this eye, but the peripheral is nice. It's probably safest to have some peripheral vision. Oh boy. Oh, it's warm. Oh, maybe I should have made breathing holes. Okay, so we definitely need some vision right here. We need some eye slits for sure. That seems good though. There it is. Try not to pin my hair. This is holding its shape quite well. Oh God, the fresh air is nice. Do you want to go outside? Oh, he actually does this time. No. That's what I thought. Okay, bye. So in quick succession and no particular order, I painted the eyes. I went with red, but with some tulle inside to keep the center clear. Then I sewed the cap to the rat head. I used cinema edged with bias binding for the eye and breathing holes. The cinema is really stiff and sharp, so the edges need to be protected. Well, I need to be protected from the edges. And then I hand sewed those in place. I have run out of places to film. I cannot sit at my desk. Every surface is covered in stuff, including the floors. A bit overwhelming, but we're nearly there. And so soon I will clean up. Probably right before I film my next video. It's not gonna happen soon. Wouldst thou care for an update? Oh my gosh, the difference that having breathing holes makes. Wow. Really proud of where it's at. Like a day and a half ago, this was an absolute mess and I was starting to feel like it wasn't gonna be anything. But like that is noticeably a rodent head shape. Now it is time to try airbrushing for the first time. Thomas got me, I'll just walk out of the scene. Oh, I have to sneeze, hang on. I'm good now. So Thomas got me a little airbrush set for Christmas, just like a cheapy one to give it a try because I feel like even the entry-level ones are like in the hundreds of dollars. Comes with a bunch of little brush cleaners, so that's nice. It's got this thing. We're gonna figure this out this morning. Yay! I did a bit of research and this was my best option that I could find. So I thought that you got airbrush paints, and you probably can get airbrush paints, but nowhere near me. And this one is an airbrush medium. And so people said online that you want like a 1-to-1 ratio. It should be the consistency of milk, and then maybe even put it through like a cheesecloth so that there are no chunks. Oh yeah, here is the mess. Patterns and notepads and just, oh no, and oh, it's just everywhere. I mean, even if you zoom in, there's also just like dirt on the floor because Alf walks in through this door. I'm just not gonna let it stress me out. Let's mix some paint. Okay, so there's one button and that turns it on, so that's good. I feel like shaking this would be ideal, rather than like what I'm sure is gonna be a very slow mixing situation that I'm doing now. But seriously, I stirred this for ages. Most definitely chunks in there. I don't know what this little canister is. Oh, it comes off. What is that? What is that for? I would have thought that this part screws on here. It does not. Oh, this part screws on here. Oh, is this also a little tiny paint canister? I'm gonna prop it up in its box because that's, there we go. Oh, there's still so many bits of paint in here. Oh, this feels very fancy. Let's take it outside and give it a try. I'm gonna do it on some scrap fabric. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's pretty pale, but like, it works. Ah, that's really exciting. Let's get to painting.
Yeah, we're already out of paint.
It took me a little while to figure out the technique for this. At first I was going back and forth in a way that ended up quite splotchy, but I found a way to not hover over the same areas too much and slowly built up the layers.
The battery died. Also, really, really cool, the paint is helping to stiffen the felt. So like, it's gonna hold its shape really well once the paint job is finished. So, bonus.
What is this relaxing painting montage with lo-fi music? Who is she? Is this something just going right the first time I try it? Well, yes and no. The pink paint that I mixed up was basically invisible and I didn't get the whole thing as dark as I would have liked. But for a first go, not bad.
Can you believe that this process that I have never done before took all day? What is that about? Oh man, I thought I would get way more done today. I figured I would have all of the fur on here as well. Look, we did our best. I couldn't decide what shape to do the bottom, so I'm just leaving it as this opening for now, and we'll figure it out at a later stage. I'm actually finding that the eye holes are really helpful for doing stuff. So I'm gonna put the eyes in last and I'm gonna get started adding the fur.
As a reminder, this is what we're aiming for. I want a fur neck covering to connect the head and body and fur going up around the back of the head. I roughly measured out the size I thought I would need for the neck, but honestly, I just sort of held the mask up where I thought my head would be because the only way to measure it accurately would be to put the whole getup on and then I wouldn't be able to see. So this is the best I could do and it's wrong. I was confused as to why I was sewing so slowly in this shot, but I realized it's because it's really early in the morning and I was trying not to wake up the rest of the house.
I was about to go into a really nice sequence of just a lot of sewing and there'd probably be some voiceover and music. But before we do that, look how cool this looks. Just really visually enjoy that. Also, new Jenny Nicholson video. I'm very excited. This is a wonderful way to keep me company.
This project has taken so long that while I was filming, we got video uploads from ContraPoints, Jenny Nicholson, and Lindsay Ellis. That's how long this has taken. And to sound exactly like a broken record, the neck covering took absolutely ages. I was once again shocked at how poorly I estimated the time needed to complete a task. And seeing as it was taking so long, I pinned it to the mask and tried it on, only to realize that I had really overshot the mark and we had doubled up fur layers that were sitting weird and so unnecessarily hot. So I called it as is, trimmed off the excess, and then had to sort of gather it to the neck hole because now it's much wider. It's hard to explain because honestly I just woke up, but basically it's fine. Better than it being too tight around my neck, and I just spent quite a while hand sewing it to the mask.
Good morning. I want to cover up these edges here with more layers of fluff. I've started hand stitching this all along the back. It's gonna be good, okay? It's gonna be good. It's just taking forever and it's a lot. It's a lot and I have a deadline. Yes. So Thomas was very sweet. He bought me this face mask to help me relax. He got me some body scrub and ran me a bath. I was very stressed the other day. I can't really remember why. And I just haven't had time to do it because I'm on such a tight deadline. So seeing as this is probably gonna take all day and this mask requires 3 hours, I've never heard of one like that. I'm just gonna put a face mask on and I'm gonna hand sew all of this onto here. Good, good. He also got me some chocolate. I'm gonna eat that too. We can combine relaxation with work. Look, it's like jelly. Ugh. No, oh shit, I nearly lost it. It's so slippery. Okay, we peel the clear layer off. Okay, and I think I removed the mouth bit, right? It's cold. So relaxing. It looks way weirder than I thought it was going to. Looks like robot skin. Tip, apply eye and mouth pieces to areas requiring extra hydration, such as under eyes, smile lines, or neck. Is this what self-care looks like? Am I doing it? Oh no! Oh no! I forgot to take the plastic off. I thought it hurt. I'm not really much of a pants kind of gal, you know? This is more Tom's arena. Ugh. It's like one of the most cursed images ever. Ugh. I look horrifying. This is not what I was expecting. Good. I feel rejuvenated already. All right, let's get these little eye pieces on these under eye areas. Yes. Can't smile with it on. All right, let's go do some crafting. I look absolutely horrifying. Also, why is it flesh colored? Is it supposed to trick people? Is the idea that you like put it on and it's like, you can just go about your day. No one will know you have a face mask on. Is that the point of this? Like, why isn't it just like hot pink or something? Like, make it obvious that I have a mask on.
I'm keeping this in because I just find it too funny not to, but I am having one of those moments of like, oh, this is gonna be on the internet forever. This might be the image that people find if they search for my name.
I can't do it. I cannot do it anymore. I can't drink my water. It's like I get the serum in my mouth. This is not for me. I am food driven. I like snacks and this is preventing me from snacking. So imagine sleeping with this, as if.
Yeah, the instructions say you should sleep in it.
Should I go make a sandwich now? Yummy. It's supposed to look glassy at the end, but I think that on me just looks sweaty. Oh my God, that's so much more comfortable. All right. Oh, I'm gonna get some chocolate. We made it. My fingers hurt so much. I realized that my big old needle was actually harder to get through the fabric than my little Sharpie one, so I switched for like the last 10 centimeters and it was so much easier and my fingers hurt. What was I gonna do next? The eyes. It's time for the eyes. Here are our eyes, ready to go. I'm really happy with how they turned out, so I should get a little bit of peripheral vision because I really need it. The little eye slots, not great. I'm now so much more impressed with the Nutcracker rats who performed because like, I'm gonna struggle in this and I don't have other dancers around me to like consider. I can't see where the holes are. I drilled holes to get the eyes in and I can't see where they are. Oh no. Okay, this is gonna be awkward. Ow, stabbed myself already. This is what I'm working with. That's our visibility for sewing this in. Awesome.
Yeah, it was awkward. That was an accurate summation. Although I just checked and summation isn't a word. Summation is, but not like surmise, which is a noun but doesn't really work here. Anyway, this is fun. You can see the passage of time as I try to sew this. With the eyes in, it was time for all the finishing touches. First we need some whiskers. Yes, I bought an entire broom just to cut 4 bristles off of it. I used an awl to make holes for them. I think that's how you pronounce it. Someone told me off for saying it wrong previously. Then very awkwardly sewed them in. I think super glue probably would have worked better because a couple of them did come loose during the reveal, but I didn't have any super glue and I wasn't gonna stick a hot glue gun in there. That would have been stringy carnage. And last was the teeth. These were a really simple felt job, bits of bristle to help secure them. And a little airbrush paint just because, well, I have it now, so I should use it. Then I just sewed them in, same as the whiskers.
So the final touches on the mask are done. I think I'm pretty happy with it. There's one more thing I wanted to do. And look, I have no faith that this is gonna work, but you may have seen these things hanging in the corners of the shots. So I saw this video on Pinterest of how to make creature hands. I have the stuff. So I started those a few days ago because I needed time for the foam clay to dry. Attaching the foam clay to the actual gloves didn't go great. Very weird, very hard to do without a hand inside the glove. It's the best I could figure out. Oh no. So some of them have like reshaped while they were drying, like it's like expanded and now it's stuck like that. I didn't do an extension on my thumb. That's because rats have 4 long fingers and this like teeny little thumb, it's like a little nubbin. I'm gonna attempt to fill in these weird gaps on the fingers with cotton balls and brushable latex. All right, we've got PPE. We're gonna make sure all the windows and doors are open. I feel like I'm covered in spider webs. I'm gonna grab the air purifier as well. What is that? It looks like my face mask. Oh my God, it smells so bad. Try and work really quickly so I'm not exposed to this stuff for very long. No. Oh no.
Yeah, it's looking good. Good. I don't know, it kind of works. Maybe we just don't do any close-ups. They look disgusting.
The thing about this process is you have to leave the glove on while it dries. So I swung my arms around outside for a bit, and then I decided to be useful and clean the bird baths.
How am I gonna do my right hand? Oh my god, this is so hard to do, and I'm using my right hand. Oh no. The best thumbs up I can do. That's me kind of like giving it my all to bend my fingers. I don't know, it's like truly awful, but it might also be as good as we're gonna get.
Just been at this with the hairdryer because I want to take it off. I've been sitting here for so long. Also, is my latex off? Look at the colors. What's with all the spots on it? All right, it's coming off. Yeah, the glove doesn't stretch much now that it's coated in layers of latex. Ah. Oh, we did it. All right, and then we just have to hang this up for drying, I guess. Time for the second one.
No! Oh no! Man, if I was good at this, these would look great.
I was pretty ready to have to give up when it came to doing my right glove with my left hand, but it was surprisingly unchallenging. I went a bit slower and generally forgot that I was using my left hand. I tried to speed up the drying time in between coats by swinging my arms around outside and using the hairdryer on cool. Then Thomas brought me a cup of tea and a biscuit, but I couldn't get my glove off. So, I left the gloves to cure overnight, and let me say, gross. Really gross. What the actual... Why does it look like this? Is this expired? Does it expire? It probably does. I think it's easier if I paint these while they're like hanging, perhaps. How do I get the latex out of its tub and into here? I forgot my mask.
It burns. I don't even know if this is completely necessary, but I'd rather be safe than blind. I hope it dries lighter because this color is way too dark.
It dries darker. I went over it with a lighter layer very messily. Everything about the gloves is messy, to be honest. And I did try the airbrush for some more yellow tones, but the moment I went outside to do it, it started raining. After that, all the gloves needed was their nails done. Okay, so the gloves are drying. They're gonna take a little while, I think, because that layer of latex paint that I did is thick. It's time for the reveal. Everything's done. I've never had a video demonetized before, so I don't actually know what it takes to get demonetized, but this one might be it. Like, I don't know. Please don't report my video. We might be pushing YouTube's comfort boundaries with this one. So with that in mind, would anyone be interested in a Patreon? I don't know. It's something I'm thinking about, potentially in the future, very early stages. I just thought I might gauge interest. It's a thunderstorm starting. It would be much more of the traditional sort of patron of the arts kind of thing, where it's just supporting a maker, trying to make weird stuff and wearable stuff, and honestly just kind of whatever I feel like. Maybe a live stream or two if I ever work up the courage to do that. It sounds terrifying. So let me know. Please don't report my video, and please enjoy Hot Rat. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Do you want me to play some music?
Ah!
That was sexy. Do the thing. Yeah. Oh, I'm scared. See, I did it.
That was terrifying.